Okay, welcome to Borough Briggs Beat, the official podcast of Elgin City Football Club. I'm joined tonight by two, I'll call you super fans, but I think from what I know about you, you're probably super fans. Euan Jackson, and I've got Andrew Watt. How you doing, guys?
I'm good.
Yeah, I didn't look so nervous, Andrew. Euan, you're like shaking there in the corner. They're both fans. We're doing a fan special night, so we've got two fans on, and you're probably your best friends as well, are you?
Yeah, really close friends.
Yeah. Aye, besties, right, cool. No BFFs or that bit.
No.
Right, so we're going to talk everything about Elgin City, but maybe Scotland as well, because I just discovered that you're massive Scotland fans, so we'll come back to Scotland later on. Okay, Elgin City, first of all, I just found out how old you are, Andrew. You're 27, you're 24, so you're still a young man, but how long have you been watching Elgin City?
As long as I can remember, the last maybe 15 years.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been an up and down journey in that time.
Aye.
Obviously.
How did you start going along? Was it your dad or someone else that took you along to games?
My dad took me along. I remember the first games I really remember is when the Rangers came down into League Two.
Ah, okay.
So that was quite big occasions for the club.
Mm-hmm.
And then I started kind of just going on my own, going with friends as well. Just got the bug and just wanted to keep going.
Mm-hmm.
And then it developed into away games when I was old enough to start driving. So
Right.
and now I go pretty much every week.
Aye, that's dedication. What about you, Euan?
Aye, quite similar, yeah. Well, my dad was taking me along to start with.
Mm-hmm.
You should just take me just for the second half.
Right.
Elgin getting a half time, and you were that young, you kind of only had the attention for half the game, and then
Yeah, I remember that. I used to take my son to football when he was younger, and the last thing he would do was watch the game. He'd be off playing, running about. Aye.
Yeah. But the season that Rangers were in the league was obviously a lot of hype that season, and going along to, get enough tickets to then get a ticket for the Rangers game, and then after that, just we had a family season ticket, and then get your own season ticket, and now got a gold card, and just then going to all the away, home games and away games,
right,
and
okay.
so
come on, your away travels, aye. So
15
did you know
years
each other before you met
No,
Elgin City?
we met through Elgin City.
All right.
Just supporters buses and Borough Briggs and in and around the bar, I suppose, all that. So yeah,
I think the first time I remember meeting you was on the Peterhead bus. One of the Peterhead
Oh,
buses.
many Peterhead buses. I can't remember what the score would have been, but Cove Rangers bus as well. It was a bus to Cove Rangers.
Right.
I can remember seeing you on.
So this was like a Borough Briggs bromance, was it?
Yeah, that's
Suppose you could
that's
say
where it
that.
started.
And now you travel to away games together as well, now,
A
do you?
lot of the time, yeah. Well, I'm just the driver, so yeah.
Fairly rack up the miles over
Aye.
the years. So no, but I love it.
No, good stuff, excellent. What's your best memory then so far? I mean, you obviously touched on the Rangers, but I mean, in the last decade and a bit, what's your best memory watching Elgin?
Well, we've not won anything, but I think the cup runs, maybe the cup run when we beat Dundee,
Right.
or maybe the Scottish Cup runs, had a couple of good cup runs. We made the fifth round against Ayr United. And
You were
quite unlucky.
close to getting to the quarters, weren't
Quite
you?
unlucky not to get through. I think we were about a couple of minutes away from the quarterfinals, and then obviously get beaten extra time. But
Aye.
you expect that with part time against full time, so probably that.
The
'Cause I think
full-timers always seem to get the rub of the green in those kind of games, don't they?
it benefits them, the extra time. But we've only, I think, second place the highest we finished. And
Second
ironically,
place,
East Fife pipped us to the post that year, so hopefully it's
a
not
few
the same.
good seasons. It was a bit unlucky with the COVID. We were third place when obviously the season was curtailed that season, and you never know what could have happened if we'd got to play the remaining games that season, and in the following season the shortened season, which was all behind closed doors, bar. I think it was 3 games. We were third again and got in the playoffs that season and lost Edinburgh City. So that's probably been the closest we've ever been to get into the playoff final. We were obviously unlucky in that game, lost a late goal at Edinburgh City, but that's probably the best memories and the closest we've been so far. But you never know. Hopefully, this
It's
season
hard for
could be
us,
the
though.
best.
It's
memory.
hard for us because we're quite young as well. We don't remember the Highland League days. A lot of the older fans that you speak to will go back to winning the leagues in the 90s and being right up there competing.
Yeah,
but we've not seen any of that. It's like our generation's kind of been like starved of success. So that's why.
So you've only ever known Elgin being in the Scottish Senior League because they joined in 2000. So.
Elgin's been in the Scottish League longer than I've been born. By a month, but
and
still.
you were probably still in Nappies when Elgin joined the Scottish
definitely.
SPFL League. Aye.
Make me sound old, Chris.
You both go to away games. We'll deal with the away games first. I mean, do you pretty much go to every away game these days, or mostly?
Andrew does, but more often than not, probably I would say for myself. So.
Yeah, okay. And what's your favourite away day? What's your favourite away trip?
In League Two,
or whatever, any leagues, any game you've been watching.
If you're talking League Two, I like Forfar. It's not too bad a distance. It's always a good day. If it's better if the bus runs, and you can get a couple of drinks in the bar and get a catch up with everyone. But Peterhead's good. I like Stranraer. I did Stranraer last season, but it's just too far away. That's the only problem. But nice ground. So probably that three, I would say. Don't know about you.
Probably. Well, one that was quite good, we've not had for a wee while now, was Brecon. Similar to Forfar, obviously. It's not too far away, about 2 hours
got
or
a nice
so.
hedge, haven't they? Nice hedge.
Brecon was a good one, and Montrose are both same as well. You know, they're all good grounds and good distances to travel and that. So they're probably the best ones.
I think all the Angus teams are cracking away days.
Yeah.
I love going to all them. Like Euan said, Montrose, Arbroath. I miss those days. So if hopefully we go up, maybe bring them back.
And in particular about the Angus teams that you like?
I don't know. I don't know what it is. It's
the Elgins, for a lot of the away games, the vast majority, it's a long way to go to get to the likes of, your Glasgow and Edinburgh based teams and all that, whereas at least, your Forfars, Montrose, Brecon, it's a good distance. You're only 2 hours or so to get there, which
it was always competitive games as well, especially with Brecon. I think we had a couple of good results there. I remember I think we won 3-0 down at Montrose in January. That was a good day. I
remember winning at Brecon 2-1 just before COVID, and I think it was Smart had scored 2 goals in the last few minutes. So that was a good turnaround. And we were really getting a lot of momentum at that point before obviously the COVID came in. So
it's not that many years since Brecon were classed as the probably the best part-time team in Scottish football, because they were punching above their weight in the Championship. It's hard, to imagine they've been 3 seasons doing the Highland League now, Brecon, haven't
they?
It's crazy the fall they've had. I think they were only saved by the COVID. From
they got away with it a few years, but it was always going to kind of come for them, wasn't it?
I hope they get back.
It's hard to get back up, though, isn't it? With the Highland League and the Lowland League structured now, isn't it?
I think it's probably a bit easier in the Highland League. Nothing against the Highland League, because I go and watch a lot of Highland League football in the midweeks, and there is some good teams, but that Lowland League is just getting stronger every year. With all your ex-junior teams coming up.
You'll never see the likes of Berwick Rangers or East Stirlingshire or
Cowdenbeath, Albion Rovers.
You'll never ever see them.
That's another
again.
one, Chris, that I really liked going to. Albion Rovers. It's just something about that ground.
Because it's what's the best way to describe Albion Rovers? To be kind to it, it's a bit agricultural.
Well, there's just something about it. It's
so bad, it's good. Yeah, so, over the years going to Coatbridge.
That's a good way to describe it. You've got the big condemned stand.
Aye. I remember years ago when I used to go in the buses when I was a Queen of South fan, you'd have as many folk watching the game outside the ground because they could stand up on that hill and watch the game and no bother. Going to watch Albion Rovers, but they're now down in the Lowland League.
Times weren't there on the train once just before COVID, and that was good.
That was a good day.
And one of those ones, it was the end of February and you woke up to a pitch inspection first thing in the morning, don't know if you're going to be going or not, and then the game's on, down on the train. Well, Elgin won 2-1. All 3 goals were in the first 6 minutes of the game. So
I think we had all 4 seasons in one day.
It was snowing at one point, and raining, and just everything. So it was a good day though. Got the win, another 3 points, and unfortunately that was the last away game, I think.
That's the thing as well. With being up in Elgin, it's your whole day. Like we had to leave that about Was that an 8 o'clock train or 10 o'clock train? Then you're not getting back to Elgin on the train until 10 o'clock.
Yeah, does that not make it better? The fact it's your whole day consumed by football.
It is good, especially if you win.
You know what I mean? It's not just like
if you lose,
an hour
it's
there
a
and
long
an hour
journey.
back.
The central belters don't know. They don't know how lucky they are. You know.
It's not so bad for them though. Like Bonnyrigg last night coming up, they're only coming up here once or twice a season, and all their games are kind of within maybe an hour to 2 hours max. Stranraer maybe a couple hours, 2-3 hours down on the southwest coast.
That just means you have to be more dedicated to being an Elgin City fan.
Exactly. So that's exactly
it. All pat in the back for travelling the country. Right, I'm going to talk. We're going to get into the football this season, and one thing I wanted to talk about start with was Alan's army thing. I don't know if you boys are you both in supporters club or are you members or have you? No,
not
you
really. No.
Right. What do you think of that fund? I mean, it seems to be becoming more of a model for clubs now to actually go to supporters.
Copying it, like, seemed to be our idea and everyone's Elgin's idea, and other clubs are now copying it. So
I think it's a good idea.
Good.
I think it is a good idea. It's just obviously tough at this time of year to be asking people just after Christmas to give up some extra money again. Everyone's a bit cash strapped, but overall I think it's a really good idea.
Because I mean, Elgin, not only Dejon sponsored by them, they've now dipped into it again to bring Kane Hester back to the club. So I mean, that's massive, isn't it?
It's really good. Like, you know, if it wasn't for obviously those two players, and we might not be. Well, obviously Kane's only been in a few games now, but at the end of the season we'll be able to tell, and you know that might be the difference.
Everyone knows
between, you know, going up or not going up or whatever. So it's a lot.
Everyone knows what Kane Hester brings from his first spell. Obviously, it's a different team, different way of playing from Gavin and Jim when he was last year, but I think he'll do really well for us, and he could be the difference.
Yeah, because I mean, this is a team that creates lots of chances, isn't it? And he admitted last night he was just frustrated with his first two games that he didn't get much service.
Well, but I was down at Clyde for his first game, and he had a couple one-on-ones.
Aye.
But Kane missed chances before. Every striker misses chances. There's no striker in this world that takes every chance. So
you were thinking even before Kane signed, you think, imagine this team with the likes of a Kane Hester in it, or a Shane Sutherland.
We were speaking about that.
Craig Gunn, somebody that's, you know, really a goal scorer. Because other, you know, like Dage and that, you know, they're not really like ones that are going to get 25, 30 goals a season. Whereas obviously we know Kane is capable of that. You know,
he's capable.
He got 29 goals the last full season here at Elgin, and that was when we were near the bottom of the league. So you did think, what could he have done? You know, if he'd been here since day one of pre-season, but obviously he wasn't. But we've still got him for the next 15 games.
Yeah, and that's an exciting prospect between now and the end of the season, isn't it?
10 goals or whatever for him could be the difference. You know.
And the fact we've got him, is it 3.5 year deal, Chris?
3.5 year deal.
That's brilliant. It's a commitment as well. Even if we don't go up this season, we can have a right good go at it next season, because a lot of the guys are signed up.
Because you didn't see contracts like that handed out at League Two, do you?
No,
you're lucky if guys sign a year's deal
usually
normally.
About 2 years at the maximum.
Yeah.
A year rolling contract or two at a push, just because there's not a lot of money at this level of football. But for 3.5 years deal, I was quite surprised when I seen that. I didn't expect that. I actually thought it might just be a loan. Because he was playing for Montrose, he was still scoring goals.
Yeah,
for them.
he still had he scored some like 21 goals in 65 games for Montrose, so he was still 1 goal every 3 games for Montrose. But he did admit that he wasn't quite as enjoying his football as much as he did at Borough Briggs.
The fact that he left last time was probably because of the travelling every second week, from what I heard anyway. So that's why I'm kind of surprised that he's came back, but I'm really happy he has come back.
No, I think it's a great sign. It's really given everybody a boost.
Elgin, you know, Elgin's probably home for him, isn't it? You know, if he wants to come to somewhere where he's loved by the fans, he's loved by the club and all that. So, you know,
he scored his first goal last night, and he was straight over to the corner.
No, he's loving it. He's really settled in quickly as well with the boys. But he knew a lot of them, I suppose, from the last time he was here, Soapy and Rusty and boys like that, you know. But I think he'll make a big difference.
And they know the way he plays as well. They know his strengths, they know his weaknesses. Just a little bit of time to get up to speed with the other guys. They have not I've not played with him before, but I'm confident it'll come.
Yeah, well, that's him off and running now. 2 goals last night, and we'll come to that the last couple of games in a minute. But I mean, there's definitely goals in Kane. If they keep creating the chances, he'll start sticking them away, won't he?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we have probably slightly lacked goals in that, and before Kane obviously arrived, so that's what we're needing really. A goal scorer, somebody that's clinical. Give him one chance. Like last night, really his first proper chance, and he's smashed it straight in the net.
He fell last night, didn't he? It was an absolute banger.
I think adding on to what Euan said there, you look at your East Fifes and your Peterheads and Edinburgh City as well. They had guys that were scoring goals that they could rely on week in, week out. You had Connor Young at Edinburgh, Nathan Austin scoring goals, Troughton. Well, you had Kieran Shanks at Peterhead. So you've got Blair Henderson at Spartans.
Russell and Dill, the joint top scorers, in seven. But I mean, to be fair, the goals have been spread around the Elgin team. I mean, you've got Jack Murray's on 6 goals, and
see that's a good thing as well, that you're not over reliant on one player. That, as you say, the goals are spread about, so it's not a bad thing. So
it just shows a good team. I mean, like Edinburgh City's lost Connor Young now, they could easily just completely fall off, and then if East Fife with Troughton or whatever were to get an injury, then that could, all their goals could dry up. So it's good that our goals are spread out, but it's also good we've now got someone you can rely on, really. That
did he feel with Dillon just before he got his injury in the Aberdeen game that he was starting to find the target in front, find
definitely.
his feet?
I think we spoke about this at one of the home games, that he was just starting to come into a rhythm. And as you said earlier about his link up with Dejon Golden, you could really start to see that on the pitch.
Click,
and I think it was a blow until obviously Kane Hester comes in. You're wondering who's going to play up top, who's going to take Dejon's position out wide. But we've really strengthened in the January window, and I'm really happy with the squad.
And obviously brought Jack McKeever in as well for Bucky, so he's on a good one.
I seen him last season a couple of times at Bucky, and I really like the look of him. I think he'll do well for us.
He's got a good pedigree. He was at Aberdeen full time, and for Martin and Peterhead. So I mean, he's looking to make the step back up. So if he does well at Elgin, who knows?
A lot of players are probably looking at Elgin as a good stepping stone now. The way that Alan's got them playing.
Previous to Alan Hale, that was probably a career killer. The folk were looking at Elgin going, no, I'm not going to go there. But
even in our years watching Elgin, how many Highland League players actually came to Elgin?
Very few.
None.
I mean, they just seem to struggle to get them. The prices were too high.
A lot of it's down to money as well. Like Elgin wouldn't maybe pay the money before, and they would maybe get the same money with less travelling. I think that's a big part of it. Travel less. You're not travelling down to Central Belt every second week, and you can earn the same money playing in a good Highland League.
I think it's, looking at the Highland League, that's definitely a way to go for Elgin, and the fact they've now got 1 or 2 in, other boys are saying, right, okay, there's an opportunity here at Elgin, so people in the Highland League maybe will look at Elgin. It's
better for the training as well. If they're training on a Tuesday and a Thursday, and you've basically got a full squad for training, and that's better rather than having only like 9 or 10 boys, and then everyone else is training themselves or training with other clubs or whatever. You try to meet up once a week. If you've basically got a full squad for training twice a week, you can actually work on things and that. So
that's definitely a massive help. But over the years, like training, as you say, half the squad's training somewhere else. Or you're having to travel like to Aberdeen or Aviemore or something.
They had a split squad, didn't they? South and North as well.
I think training together, you can definitely see that at the end of last season and then this season as well, in our league position, in our league form. I think it definitely makes a difference.
I mean, I think most of the squad are training twice a week together, and
I think it's only really Ollie and Kyle.
But even then, I think the guys are possibly training once a week all together as well. So, Ollie and that, Jake comes up regularly as well for squad training.
It's brilliant that the South lads are that committed to come up once a week for training, and if we've got home games Saturday, I think it's brilliant to see.
Basically, Ollie and Kyle are almost like full-time players, because obviously they're just young lads, and Elgin City's they're basically their full-time job, isn't it? They're travelling up here.
I think Ollie, he's got a job doing, he works for a soccer school down in Motherwell, does coaching, and Kyle I think works at a distillery at the moment, but I I mean, he's obviously another guy that's came from full-time with St Mirren and then stepped down with Stranraer, but he's still a young boy, 22, 23, looking to get back up, so.
Yeah, they certainly commit a lot of time to Elgin City anyway, they're up and down here and staying over for, training into games and all that, so the two of them have done really well as well since it's obviously signed for Elgin in the summer.
I've been pleasantly surprised with Kyle Girvin because I can never really remember him being a standout for Stranraer in the last couple of years that he was there. So this season, I think he's been absolutely tremendous.
I mean, he'd be the first name on the team sheet for me. The way he's played this season,
For me, I think he's been the player of the season so far.
Right wing back, centre half, and sounds like his ankles are in pieces, but he's been playing through that,
and he's came up with big goals as well. Like, it was a big goal on Saturday against East Fife in the first game of the season. East Fife as well.
Yeah,
a couple in between that. So it's not just the defending; he's a threat in the opponent's box as well.
Yeah, he's a big player for Elgin, definitely. You mentioned East Fife there, so we'll talk about the last two games because East Fife, obviously, they'd got a wee bit of daylight, and with Elgin being in the cup and having games off, they'd kind of slipped 11 points behind. So how massive was that 1-0 win on Saturday?
Massive, we really couldn't afford to lose it and then go obviously to 14 points. So massive, probably the biggest game of this, biggest win of the season anyway. So brilliant to get the win and to get one over them as well after the late goal down at their place in December. So massive. Got kind of obviously clawing 3 points back on them as well was good. And
it was Kyle who got the winner with a great header early doors. Lyle crossed to him, so again combination fullback to fullback, wasn't it?
Was that the same combination?
That was the same in the first game when we beat East Fife 4-2.
It was a great header, and it was an important one as well because it was the only goal of the game. So, but I think we played really well in that game, and I think their keeper was probably man of the match.
I mean, to be fair to Dick Campbell, I know he got sent off in the game and he got a wee bit heated, but after the game he was quite calm in his post-match assessment, and he said that 1-0 flattered them and Elgin deserved to win.
I listened to his post-match and I thought he was really fair with his comments.
He was spot on.
But it was quite funny seeing him all heated up.
He brings a bit of passion to the sidelines, doesn't he, Dick?
He's good entertainment.
And he nearly took Arbroath into the Premiership. I mean, he was finished second to Kilmarnock that season, so he seems to have a good knack of putting teams together and winning things.
Well, his East Fife team, that's a strong squad. That's a very strong squad. At the moment, as much as it pains me to say, they're still slight favourites. They're obviously still top of the league, but you just never know.
So do you think out of the three teams that are there, East Fife, Elgin and Peterhead, I know Edinburgh are just a wee bit further behind, but is it going to be between those three, do you think, for the
definitely between those three,
for the 1, 2, 3 places?
I would say so.
I mean, I've seen Peterhead 3 times this season, once in the League Cup at their place, and then obviously the 2 games in the league against them, and they haven't looked great in any of the games really.
I think out of the 3, Peterhead, out of the 2, but East Fife and Peterhead, I'd say East Fife was slightly the better. I think East Fife played really well when we went down to Bayview. And obviously that was a sickener.
East Fife seem to be able to go on a run, with like 6 or 7 wins in a row.
Because
you start thinking they're never going to drop points, and obviously they were just on that run until we played them.
They won 5 in the spin, come to Borough Briggs.
Whereas Peterhead you seem to always check their score and they've dropped points. So I don't know how they've actually managed to get 41 points, but.
So were you both at that 2-1 game doing it
I was
in Fife?
I was down there.
7th minute of added time, wasn't it? The winner.
That was a sore one. Definitely the sorest moment of the season. It was a long journey home.
I can imagine. It's always worse, isn't it, when you lose in that fashion, you have the drive home. Definitely. So before, it was important though, having beaten East Fife on Saturday, they had to follow up against Bonnyrigg, because it would have mattered. It would have been paled in significance if they hadn't followed it up with a big win. Last night. Definitely.
As I was saying earlier, I think we played better in the East Fife game, but we're more clinical against Bonnyrigg, and there's no point in winning that East Fife game if you don't go and back it up, like you say. So it was very important that we clawed some of the points back. And I think we've got another game in March. I think we've got Spartans, so it's again important between now and then.
We'll talk about that shortly. I was looking at the fixtures there. There's a run of 3 games in the space of 8 days.
4 for
at home,
Spartans.
3 home games, 4 for Spartans.
But we need to keep in touch, though. We need to keep it at this 5 points at a minimum. Can't let it go back to 8 or 9 points, and then you're running out of games at that stage.
Yeah.
So
I mean, what is the talk amongst the fans? I mean, you both stand in the covered enclosure. What are fans generally talking about now? Is it title or is it just playoffs?
Playoffs, I think. I don't think people are getting too ahead themselves.
They're not getting carried away and saying, "Oh, we can win this now," or we're.
It's just kind of take it one game at a time. You know, it's probably the boring answer, but just kind of one game at a time. And obviously, if you get into the last 9 games of the season, you know, it's proper business end, and you're, you know, at that point, if you're within, you know, 3 points, these 5 for whoever's at the top, then of course you're talking about the title, you know. There's only a matter of games to go, you know, but right now it's just a case of take it one game at a time. And, you know, obviously Saturday was kind of must win really, or else, you know, 14 points is a big gap to make up.
I don't think we would have came back from 14 if
they'd
lost at the weekend.
But now we've cut it from 11 to 5 in the
5
space
points
of
with a
like
game
4
in hand,
days. So yeah, of course.
Point behind Peterhead with a game in hand as well. So
it's definitely back on, but we need to take care of our own games first.
Do you think first and foremost it's I mean, I joked with Alan last night. I said, that's you hit 40 points, so that's you safe from relegation this year. So
I said that after the game as well, actually.
We spoke about that's as much last season's total points.
I think they've just gone up. Is it a point more than they did last season? Or was it,
well, it was 40 last season.
Was it 40 they got? Right. So they've matched it with 15 games to go.
I think it was 39 the season before.
Right. So there's 15 games to go. So relegation's off the cards this season, right? We're clear of the relegation playoffs. So is it just a case of cementing down a place in the playoffs first, and then, as you say,
I don't think at the start of the season, you know, I was obviously a bit more ambitious than last season, which was just obviously, you know, don't be last. But I would never have thought the start of the season was even any chance of us winning the league. You know, just having competing to potentially be 4th would have still been a successful season.
Yeah, you
know, we're massively overachieving. Just even being in contention with 15 games to go. So you know, whatever happens, it's going to be a successful season.
Because the Premier Sports Cup, that was difficult because, you know, they're up against some really strong folk down teams.
Always going to be difficult for a League 2 team. You know, obviously some other teams have done it in the past, but Elgin's kind of, you know, very unlikely to win that group. You know, we've got likes of Hibs and, you know, Queen's Park and Kelty Hearts in that group. So, you know, it's always going to be tricky. But, you know, since the start of the league season, we've started it off well, and we've never really had a bad dip. And, you know, obviously away form's kind of not been that great in the last 5 games. Obviously, only picked up 2 of the last 15 points away from home, but still our overall away form's still been good. You know, we're you know, only 1 point behind. I think Edinburgh City's got the most points away from home, so we're only 1 point behind them. So it's still been pretty good.
That 11. I mean, I know Alan played it down, and it was always the media that was building it up. But the 11 game unbeaten run, that would have been a nice thing for fans to enjoy, wouldn't it?
It was a great start to the season. It was great, just ticking off the weeks, and you get into November and still unbeaten.
Still have a 0 in that column against
It's just unbelievable.
Nice,
it's just something I didn't think I would see.
Probably made that unbeaten run even better. The fact it was right at the start of the season. You know, if it had came like between October and, you know, January or something, then it would have been good. But the fact it was from the very start, and we went all the way into November without losing a game, and we had that 0 in the losses column.
And the fact that you've got through the first quarter and you've played every team and you've managed to stay unbeaten, I think that makes it a bit more special as well. Yeah. For me anyway.
Aye. And it was Bonnyrigg obviously ended that run.
I think that was just the start of the injury run though. I think we started to have a few bodies out and we were a bit light on numbers. So by the time we got to Bonnyrigg, I think we were kind of resigned that it was going to come to an end.
It was kind of running in fumes a wee bit, wasn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
You talk about the injuries there. I mean, the injury list has been horrendous. It's been almost unprecedented how many bodies they've had out. They've almost had a full team out at one point.
I've never seen anything like it, Chris. Never seen anything like it in all the years that I've been following Elgin. You get injuries maybe, 3-4 weeks, or hamstring injuries, muscle injuries. But this is all, 8 to 12 weeks, all long-term injuries. And as you say, the team was running on fumes. And it was important to get some bodies in January, to get some bodies back. But the thing is as well, you can't go rush these boys back too early, and then you end up losing them another 6 weeks, and it hurts your playoff chances or your title chances.
Yeah.
So it's a fine balance.
They're just starting to get some bodies back at the right time.
You notice it in the last 2 games with Jake playing 290 minutes, Draper on the bench, and then you've got a couple new signings in there as well, and hopefully Jack Murray's not too far away.
Mm-hmm. You just look at the bench. You used to look at the bench, and it was just full of young lads, and there wasn't really any options on the bench at all. Whereas now you're looking at it and you're like, it's
strength and depth.
It's a big bench, and you've got a lot of options on the bench now. And obviously the starting lineup was always good before, but now it's there's a lot of competition for places now.
A lot of guys have been playing with niggles for many, many weeks as well. So it'd be good to maybe rotate the team a bit in the running to keep guys fresh, because it's going to be all action. It's going to be really, really good entertainment as well.
Intense.
So
I mean, I know
intense, probably that's a good word.
Alan took the opportunity last night to give Kyle a wee rest near the end, take him off because it was 3-0. But because I think Kyle, Lyle, and Rusty, they've played like 27 and 26 games, which is a lot of game time these boys have put in, haven't they?
Yeah, that's absolutely mental when you say it like that.
Mm-hmm. Especially in a week like this, it's hard for part-time players to to play 3 games in a week. It's definitely last night when you're 3-0 up, you just get as many off as you can, just rest the legs up for obviously Saturdays. Another 90 minutes, a hard game, down away to Stirling. So we're just gonna have to go again. So yeah.
You mentioned Jake there. How impressed have you been with him the last 2 home games? I mean, 2 clean sheets. 3 clean sheets for Tom McHale since he came back in goals as well. And Jake popping up with a header last night.
I think he's been solid the last 2 games. He was brilliant before he got injured as well, but I think he's been absolutely rock solid. And I think Jack Murray and Ross Draper coming back can only strengthen that defence as well. So, but that's how you build a good team, though. You build from the back. If you've got a good defence, and you've got a chance of winning any game and not losing many. So. But you look as well, I think we didn't concede many goals in that 11-game unbeaten run at the start of the season.
No, there was a lot.
So the team was built on the back 3 with Draper and Jack and Jake, and then you got Lyle and Kyle in the full-backs. And it was built on a solid defence, and that lets the midfield and forward players express themselves and get the goals. So,
how impressed have you been with Soapy as centre-half?
He's been tremendous all season.
I mean, that's clearly going to be a future position for him towards the end of his career. But I mean, he's
another one that is in with a shout at player of the season. I think he's played right back, centre half, centre mid. I think you do miss something when you take him out of that centre mid, because I think he's the best passer of the ball we've got. But he's been absolutely brilliant as a standing. As Euan says, absolutely strolled it. You would actually think centre back was his position. Some of the games he's played and some of the performances he's put in, and then you forget he's a midfielder.
That's why when Jack Murray's back fit, obviously it's gonna be a hard decision for Alan Hale. What does he put him back in and then take Soapy out, or does Soapy just stay in centre half? Or
I think it's a nice problem for Alan. It's a problem he's not had for since the start of the season.
Yeah, he hasn't really had that luxury of having everybody available apart from
I wouldn't like to be in Alan's shoes trying to pick a team when everyone's fully fit, because it's a really strong squad.
Have you seen a different Soapy this season? Has he got a new lease of life, do you reckon? I mean, he's been at the club for over 550 games or whatever, and some great football, and then he's had some difficult periods where teams struggling.
I would agree with that. Yeah, definitely a new lease of life to Soapy.
I think just since Alan Hale's come in, it's not just Soapy, but quite a few of the boys that have been here a long time, Russell as well, and they've just been kind of reinvigorated and just
I think even at the end of last season, in the last kind of 6-7 games, you noticed that a lot of the guys that have been here before have been re-energised and just look like they're enjoying their football again.
Aye, totally. You mentioned there earlier the length of contract that Kane came in and he's signed a 3.5-year deal, which for a 29-year-old that's fair commitment, especially when he's based in Forfar and that. But I've noticed in the last 2 weeks there's a lot of boys, Tom McHale, Rusty, Ryan McClellan, who's away out and he's just a young lad, 20, he's away out on loan to Bucky. They've all signed 2.5, 3-year, extended contracts. So that's quite unusual in recent seasons for Elgin, isn't it? To have boys on longer than say a year and a half. So you can do a lot of planning ahead, couldn't you, with that?
Yeah. I mean, a lot of these boys shows that they want to be here. They want to be, at Elgin, playing for Elgin. And, Alan and Stefan, want them here. So it's just good to get them tied down. Obviously in the past we've had players that are just on 1-year deals, and then it gets to the end of the season in the summer, you've got 8 to 10 boys leave, and obviously you have to bring in 8 to 10 new boys, and you're just basically starting again. So it's good to have that kind of consistency in that. I think that's kind of what Arbroath and Montrose built, and that's how they got up the leagues, just by having a solid base. And then you kind of obviously have to tinker a few positions in that, a few new signings come in, but if you've got that solid core group, then you can it's a good way to succeed. So it's good to see anyway.
Yeah,
it's really important to have a solid core to your squad and not chopping and changing every summer, and so much disruption with so many players going out, so many players coming in. So to see them boys signing and committing to the club is really good from a fan's point of view. Just as I say, just shows that the commitment they have to the club and that they want to be here as well. I think that's the most important thing. They obviously want to be here, or they wouldn't sign.
And until Tom got injured at the end of August, there was no loan deals. And I was looking at that stage like it's almost like Elgin weren't going to bring in any loan players.
That's unusual.
Which, Elgin in the past have had probably
season,
maxed out the loan deals with 5 loan deals each season. So that was different. But then when they did dip into the loan deal, they brought in Aidan Glavin and Cian Leslie. And Cian's started to find his feet, but Aidan has been outstanding.
Oh, he was absolutely brilliant before he went back on, down to Kilmarnock.
Gutted for him, because I mean he probably didn't want to get recalled. He'd probably rather be still at Elgin just now, obviously playing football every week. But obviously that's just the unfortunate nature of being a lone player, and he's away back to Kilmarnock now. And let's face it, if Tom keeps playing the way he's playing, 3 clean sheets in a row, he'll keep the position. So
I think the plan is for him to come back though, but as Euan says, does he come back in and come straight back in the starting lineup? Because you can't drop Tom after 3 clean sheets. You
couldn't.
Tom's our number one. He's just signed a new contract as well. So
Tom's
and is he going to come here and sit on the bench? I don't think so.
It's a difficult dynamic, but I don't know when. I don't know what the situation is.
I think
with Robbie
they've only got till
McCrory.
the end of February. If he's going to obviously come back to Elgin on loan, it would have to be by the end of February before the loan window shuts. So we'll see what happens, I suppose.
But then if you don't take him back and Tom gets injured, then you're in a situation.
Hopefully there'll be no more injuries.
But hopefully we're over the worst of that.
Because at the moment Aidan's sitting on the bench in Premier League games, but not getting any game time. So it's a difficult one for him. But certainly Tom's form since he came back in, he's been outstanding. As you say, 3
you
clean
would
sheets.
actually forget he was out for 4 or 5 months. The way he's performed since he came back, it's been absolutely brilliant. And he's had some big saves as well. Some big saves down at Clyde, big saves on Saturday as well. So I think he was quite quiet last night. Only one save last night.
He didn't have a lot to do last night, to be fair. He did make one.
You've got to
save.
keep concentrated in games like that, because you don't know when that chance for the other team's going to come. So that shows how much quality he's got to come back in and hit the ground running again.
What did you think? I mean, Jack McKeever, he only got a small appearance last night, but he came close to a goal.
Good run down the wing, and he looked sharp and fast. And hopefully we'll see a bit more of him in the next few weeks. And he looks like he's got something about him. So worth bringing in anyway. Obviously it's only loan to the end of the season, but it's worthwhile for the rest of the season. He's
definitely keen to try and prove himself at this level again after being released by Aberdeen.
Hopefully we can get him permanently signed in the summer if he does well in the next 15 games. So
cool. Right, we'll come back to Elgin City before we finish up. But you both said to me before we went on air that you're both big into your Scotland games as well, and you travel to watch Scotland a lot. You said you're both at the Euros.
Yeah.
Were you at all the Scotland games, or some of them, or how?
Just 2 of them.
Switzerland and Hungary.
Right. Okay. How did you? Was that your first major tournament in Scotland?
Yeah.
So how did you find that?
It was brilliant.
It was brilliant. Yeah, it was great being being abroad as well, and just where obviously loads of Scotland fans, but all the fans of the other nations that were there as well. Brilliant in the fan zones and watching other games, and obviously Scotland didn't do very well.
It was a bit disappointing, but that's Scotland at major tournaments.
But no, it was great experience and all that. To be there, you never know, it could be once in a lifetime, I suppose. You never know when the next one's going to come around.
I think that's important as well. The fact that our generation have missed out on that kind of tournament. Like obviously, you've seen us at major tournaments, Chris. So, but we've
saying I'm old.
No, not
at
all.
I remember 1978 in Argentina and 1982 in Spain. Yeah, I've seen Scotland at World Cups and various other competitions.
That's the next one for us. We need to see Scotland at
World Cup. That still hasn't happened since 1998.
No, Germany was brilliant. I think it was the perfect country to host the tournament as well. The nice people, and as Euan says, just good with all the different mix of fans as well. It was absolutely brilliant.
Who were the best fans you came across? I mean, I didn't get to Germany, but I loved watching it on telly. I thought the Dutch were immense, the way they were bouncing.
There was a lot of Turkey fans, but then kind of found out later on there's a large contingent of Turkish people that live in Germany.
Turkish population in
so
Germany.
They were good. Not sure off the top of my head.
Denmark, maybe they played against England. We watched that game in a fan zone.
Right.
Drew 1-1.
That was good. That was really good. It was good when they scored and the cameraman panned onto the English.
And it was great seeing those pictures of Scottish fans marching with bagpipes at the front. 2 games.
That was the Cologne game against Switzerland. So I marched to the ground. So that was quite good.
I think that was my favourite day of the trip. Like the game as well was a good game. Probably the best one we had after the drubbing from Germany.
And the Hungary game was just heartbreaking.
No.
We think about that, but
no,
Switzerland game was good. Good to obviously take the lead. Scored through McTominay, and then obviously ended 1-1, but still gave us something to play for in the final game. Made it worth, meaningful. But obviously
the limbs for that McTominay goal was one of the best I've ever seen. Absolutely tremendous.
Yeah, and you mentioned that you've signed up 5-match package for Scotland for the next qualification campaign. So who are you going to see? What games are you going to go to?
Greece first in March. It's Nations League relegation playoff. Iceland in a friendly in June, and then the World Cup qualifiers in October and November. Greece again, and Belarus, and then either Denmark or Portugal. So 5 games at Hampden this year. So
that'll be exciting.
I've done it for the last few years now, the package. So
hopefully get to an away game as well.
So,
but I don't think there's no fans in Belarus. I think I read.
No,
because of the war with Russia or something.
Oh, the situation over
and
there.
Then obviously you've got Greece twice. So and then Portugal or Denmark.
June and Portugal or Denmark. So
good stuff. But sorry, on you go, Andrew.
That's another thing as well. Like we've bought the package the last few years, but again, it's so much commitment, so much money in travel to go down there, because you're going down centre belt again. So
and you'll need to hotels and
games are always on Thursday nights or Monday nights.
There's never a Saturday game.
No, there's no Saturday games this year again. So you're always taking probably 2 days off work to.
So it's a big commitment, really. And then you've got obviously the league games with Elgin on top of that on the weekends. So
but you love your football. You wouldn't have it any other way, would you?
I wouldn't have it any other way. No.
Scotland's done really well as well the last, since Steve Clarke took over. It's about 5 years now, so that's probably been I watched Scotland or followed Scotland before Steve Clarke, but it was just kind of odd games here and there. But since Steve Clarke took over, it's been kind of buying obviously these packages and going to basically all the home games and a lot of away games as well. Cyprus and Germany, Poland, Dublin. But Steve Clarke's probably been the best Scotland manager in my lifetime.
He's done
definitely the best in our lifetime, 100%.
It'll be a sad day when he does leave, even though
he's one of the grumpiest managers Scotland's ever had, isn't he? Doesn't he smile a lot, does he?
A lot of people say he's droll.
Droll, that's a good word, a bit dour. But he's done a great job, so you can't argue with the job.
Took us to 2 major tournaments, so what more can you ask for when we hadn't been to one for 20 odd years,
23 years or something.
No idea who would get. Maybe if we don't qualify for the World Cup this year, that might be Clarke. Maybe call time on it, but I don't know who would get next.
We've got a good squad of players there now. It's been building over the last few years. I know you're lacking a striker and a goalie probably now, and maybe a top class centre half. If you could try and get someone for that 3 positions, you don't know what you could go and do.
Yeah,
good to see they've got players that are playing at the highest level now. You've got like Robertson and McGinn playing English Premier League, playing in the Champions League. And you've the boys that have gone over to Italy, like McTominay and Gilmore.
He's doing brilliant there,
and Lewis Ferguson as well.
At Bologna as well.
Good to play in a different league, and they're playing at a really, really high standard. Playing against good teams every week. In that Italian league. So so it's only good for Scotland really with those those players going and playing abroad. So no, the future's certainly bright for hopefully qualifying for the World Cup or tournaments after that.
Aye, definitely. We'll quickly touch on other teams that aren't Elgin or Scotland. You there's a lot of black and white in your football family because your family supports Dunfermline Athletic as well.
Yep.
Is that your dad from down that neck of the woods?
Yeah. Well, I was born in Kirkcaldy actually.
Oh yeah, you're a Fife fan, right? Okay.
I wouldn't be supporting Wraith Rovers.
Right. Okay.
They're just a wee team. But Dunfermline. Yeah. So my dad supported them when he was younger. Always kept supporting them, a bit like yourself, I suppose, Chris, with Queen of the South. Don't get to the games very often, just a couple a season probably. But they've played Elgin a few times as well since I've been supporting Elgin. So won at Borough Briggs in the Scottish Cup, 5-3 win for Dunfermline, and then 1 down in Dunfermline in the League Cup. No, was
that 6-0 one?
6-0, yeah. Right.
I was away on holiday for that. Thank God I never went to that.
Elgin got destroyed that day. But no, it's always, if they're playing locally as well, I'll definitely make the attempt to go. And for like Inverness or Ross County is always probably the most away grounds I've been to see Dunfermline play at. So. Or even games down at East End, you'll try and go, a couple of times a season. So
that's a nice. I like East End.
We've just got new owners as well in the last 2 weeks, so hopefully the future's a bit more bright as well. An American poker player.
Right. Is that?
Is that what it is? Is it?
So we'll see how they get on, but certainly put a bit more money into the club than they were getting before.
Because they've taken Michael Tidser from Kelty, and he's just signed Connor Young from Edinburgh City.
For obviously a fee as well, and Keith Bray, the lad from Inverness, for a fee and a 4.5-year deal. So and about 6 or 7 other boys from English clubs and all that. So certainly a kind of statement of intent in January to make sure they stay in the Championship, because you can't really be affording to have a club of Dunfermline's size down in League One again. Been down there only a few seasons ago, and it's not ideal for for the finances and all that. Playing against part-time teams every week, you want to be in the Championship, getting big games against Wraith Rovers and Falkirk and all the other teams. So, yeah.
And you've got a wee notion for the blue half of Glasgow, I believe, Andrew. Is that right?
Yes.
How did that affliction come about?
Through family again. My dad's a Rangers fan. I had an uncle at bed down the Falkirk kind of direction who went every second week to Ibrox, so he took me to my first game many years ago now. Right. And I love the club ever since.
So you've seen them go through their struggles, League Two, all the way back up to the
that was a bit weird seeing them at Borough Briggs, and then obviously being an Elgin supporter as well. So had split loyalties there, but I was in the Elgin end. I was supporting Elgin.
Good.
And I was down at Ibrox as well with Elgin City for the 1-1 game.
That was a great day. That
was a great day out. I was 14, 15 at the time, but it was absolutely brilliant day. And then Neil Alexander fumbling the ball at the end. So yeah, and I went to some of the big European games in the Europa League. I went to Porto, Braga. That was going back before. Leverkusen, Leverkusen as well before COVID. So good. I've not been down for a few years. I need to get back down and take in a game, but again, it's finding the time with Sporting Elgin on Saturdays or taking time off work for a European game. You've got to get your
priorities right in life.
Yeah,
Elgin always comes first.
Elgin comes first.
Absolutely. Elgin comes first, and on this occasion, Elgin comes last. We're going to talk a wee bit more about Elgin before we finish tonight. Just how good is it to be an Elgin City fan this season? How exciting does it feel?
Yeah, brilliant. It's probably, I'm sure Andrew would agree, in our time of following Elgin, this has been the best season, I would say.
Been the best by miles.
By miles, so yeah.
Because they've been top of the league a few times. Obviously, East Fife have been top for the last few weeks, but Elgin hit the top a few times earlier in the season.
I think Elgin's just getting the momentum just at the right time. If we can pick up a few more wins, we're getting our players back, then into the run, and hopefully we can pip East Fife to the post. I think we've got them last game
away. That's Peterhead at home, the third last game of the season. So
Peterhead play East Fife the second last game.
Did
as
they?
Well.
Right, okay.
Peterhead.
So potentially, if it's still as close, those last few weeks could be really nerve jangling, couldn't they?
Yeah. Exciting but nervous at the same time. It'd be an absolute nervous wreck by the time we go down to Fife.
Yeah.
If it's still in the balance.
Still a lot of games to play. We played before then, and obviously by the time it gets to the last game of the season, it's only 3 points and all that. It could easily be all over by then. For good reasons. We might be because we've sealed the title, or they might have sealed the title. You just don't know really.
The most important thing is just focus on ourselves. Just keep churning out that wins week on week and see where it takes us. And hopefully East Fife have a little wobble between now and May. And then if it comes down to that game, then it comes down to that. But
home games are the really important ones. 7 home games to go. That's obviously 21 points available at home. You've really got to be looking at getting, not saying winning all 7, but hopefully maybe.
We've only lost one at home.
Six wins and a draw, maybe even that would be 19 points at home, and then pick up a few more points away from home, maybe a couple more wins on the road, and then that should give us a fair points tally at the end of the season, and just see where that takes us. So,
as Euan said earlier, though, I don't think neither of us would have expected Elgin to be in this position of challenging for the title at the start of the season. So the fact we're in a title race is exciting for all the fans.
Even playoffs would have been,
I've said playoffs before the start of the season, Chris. That was going off the last kind of 7-8 games of last season when Alan started to get his own players in, and you could see the style of play, and that I was excited to go into this season. I thought maybe third, fourth minimum for the playoffs, but to be tucked in just behind Peterhead and East Fife.
And the way we've been playing this season, we're Elgin are a really hard team to beat. I think we've got the least amount of losses in the whole league. Less than East Fife or Peterhead. It's a perfect playoff team. We're
difficult to beat, but also blooming exciting to watch as well.
Yeah, definitely.
The playoffs. If you go into the playoffs, if you can, all you really need to do is win one game and draw the other game, and then you're through to the final, and then same again. So it's never that easy, but we're certainly a hard team to beat.
Potentially 4 cup finals. That's what it comes down to.
Yeah.
Who wants it more?
It's obviously having that experience as well, and it seems like we've got a lot more experience in the dressing room than we probably had when we were last in the playoffs or the time before that. We've got a lot of experience with like Drapes and Soapy and
a lot of experience, but the youngest Russell. Team in the league. That's statistically the case. Elgin's got the youngest team in the league. I thought Stefan told me that a couple of weeks ago, that somebody had done the stats and they were just younger than Edinburgh City. But you say a lot of good experience as well. So
I think Ross Draper coming back, I said it before and I'll say it again, is so important coming into this run, and just his experience, and he's been there, he's done it, he's won stuff. So I think it'll be invaluable for us.
Yeah, magic. Are you off to Stirling at the weekend?
Yes.
Are you driving?
Yes, I am.
Right.
So another trip down the A9.
And then Stranraer the week after?
No, at the moment I don't think so.
Are you giving Stranraer a body?
Been there before.
Yeah.
Well, you never know. If we win on Saturday, then I might change my mind in the middle of next week. But at the minute, I don't think I'll be going.
Well, enjoy Stirling anyway. Excellent. Right, thanks Euan, thanks Andrew for tonight. It's been good crack and talking about all things Elgin City. And you've been listening to the Borough Briggs Beat.